Hey everyone, my name is Ken. I'm a junior at Penn and I'm studying finance and business analytics in Wharton. Outside of class, I love to hike and snowboard, and occasionally I play tennis here. So my day normally starts at, call it 9 a.m. I'll wake up, get some breakfast, make some coffee, clear the emails, and then head to class at about 10:15. I think that's the first class. Class would usually go till 12, and I'd have lunch with a couple friends. And then I'll have my next class at about 1:30, and that would last till about 3 o'clock. Afterwards, I'd either hang out with some friends, or we'd go to the city, or I'd have a club meeting at maybe like 6 in the evening till 7, and then the rest of the day is either finishing up schoolwork or doing club stuff and other things like that. So I'm currently in the Wharton School and I'm studying finance and business analytics, so I'm doing a dual concentration. I think there are good reasons for each. For finance, I think that's one of the most popular concentrations here at Wharton. I think there's a really big finance community, and I think doing a finance concentration is one way to kind of get the best of the Wharton experience in terms of having one of the best finance departments in the country, and also really having something in common with your friends and going to similar industries when you eventually graduate from college. I think that's a really big plus point for doing a finance concentration. In terms of business analytics, I think what I wanted to do for my second concentration was to pursue something more quantitative. I think personally I've had an interest in data science, and I think what Wharton does very well is to marry kind of that traditional qualitative business aspects with a lot of the new quantitative tools, whether that's coding or using Excel or other tools to help you understand how businesses work, how they operate, and really kind of be able to put numbers to the paper. And I think those are really useful skills when you eventually enter the workforce. I think the finance concentration is a little more straightforward. Basically, each concentration at Wharton consists of 4 classes within that specific department. And so after taking the business fundamentals, you can basically take any 4 higher level classes with regards to that department to fulfill your concentration. For finance, the most popular classes are things like valuations, like corporate finance, buyouts and acquisitions. These are the classes that were recommended to me by seniors and alumni, and things that I continue to recommend to the underclassmen. For business analytics, I think it's a relatively newer concentration where it's a joint concentration between the statistics and operations department. I think there is a lot of leeway in terms of what classes you want to take there. It could be, computer science classes, it could be operations classes, it could be statistics or marketing classes that all fulfill the concentration. And so if you look at the requirements, there's really a really large breadth of classes you could take and a lot of flexibility in terms of what you want to study. I'm currently in a class called OIT 255, which talks about AI and its applications in business and society. And I think one thing that's really exciting about classes at Wharton is that they always keep up with current trends. And so in this class, we're talking about the latest news in AI. We talk about ChatGPT and its applications, and really figuring out in real time as we see different industries and technologies unfold, what the implications are for us individuals, but also for businesses as well as society at large. I think it's a really good class in that it gives you a really high level understanding of how these technologies work and kind of the underlying concepts they're based in, without going too much into kind of the technical aspects. And I think that's something that Wharton does very well, is to prepare you to work kind of in a business or a strategy role while having the sufficient knowledge of the technical aspects without having to work in a technical role yourself. The academic culture at Penn is one that I think in my experience is pretty unique. I think most Ivy League institutions, a lot of people assume that people study very hard all the time. And I think that is true to some extent, that people here, and a lot of my friends and peers, are very driven and they always strive to do more in school, to take more classes or do dual degrees or do an accelerated master's. And I think the great thing about Penn is that if that's what you want to achieve in college, there is a lot of flexibility and a lot of support to do so. I think at the same time, one thing that I've really liked in my experience at Penn for the past 3 years is that the students at Penn work really hard, but they also know how to take time off and relax and hang out and have fun with their friends. So it's definitely not all study and no play. I think that there's a very good balance here, and sometimes maybe even a little too much in the play, but it's a really good time. And I think the academic culture is so long as you know what your goals are and kind of what you're striving towards and where you want to be, it's pretty easy to kind of keep your head above the water and kind of do well in what you're doing. I'm currently in a few professional clubs. The main ones would be like the Wharton Investment and Trading Group, or WITIG, which is the largest undergraduate finance club on campus. I'm also in Phi Chi Theta, which is one of the 5 business fraternities here at Wharton. And then aside from that, I'm in a few cultural clubs. I'm in Club Singapore by virtue of the fact that I am from Singapore, as well as AIS, which is the Assembly of International Students, which is an umbrella organization that covers all international student organizations that works closely with faculty. On top of all of that, I'm in club tennis, where we usually train a couple times a week down by Penn Park. In terms of balancing classes and academics with extracurriculars, it's kind of up to you to draw a pretty fine line for yourself. I know a lot of friends who choose to do a lot of classes and maybe they choose to participate in less clubs, or they choose to take part in tons of clubs and then they end up doing less classes. I think it's about finding a good balance on what you want to do and really involving yourself in the clubs that you feel like you want to be a part of, that you really enjoy working on. And on that note, I think something at Penn that's a pretty interesting phenomenon is that a lot of people, especially during freshman year, tend to take up a lot of clubs, call it maybe 6 or 7 clubs, and that number kind of leans down to maybe 2 or 3 clubs that they really enjoy by the time they're a junior or a senior. Something that has really helped me find time to do all the different things you do as a college student is really focusing on which are the few clubs that I enjoy the most and I really want to dedicate my time to, and then doing those well. Whether you want to do multiple degrees or multiple concentrations, making sure you finish those on time. And I think that way, if you carefully select the clubs that you want to be a part of, you end up having enough time to do your classes as well as explore all the things that college has to offer. At Penn, social life, I think that's something for everyone. If you're the kind of person that loves to party, I think there's something going on almost every single night, and I think that's something that's pretty unique to Penn in some way. But if that's not for you, I think there's lots of other options. It's really great being so close to the city where you can just grab a group of friends on any day and you get out of class and go into the city and get food or just go explore, and I think that's a really great thing to do with your friends. So personally now, as a junior, I'm starting to go out a little bit less and kind of staying in, and I think something that I do with my friends is have people over at my place for dinner, or we'll go out together to the city, kind of get a nice dinner or get some dessert or ice cream and come back. There's a lot of fun things to do around Pennsylvania or Philly. You could head up to New York or even further to Boston or down to DC and have a lot of these short fun day trips with your friends. I think that's a nice thing of where Penn is located, where it's pretty central, but also you get a nice campus kind of tucked away from a lot of the hustle and bustle of these really big cities. My advice for younger students would be, I think first and foremost, do high school well. Have everything down, have your classes down, make sure that you put effort into that and do well. I think the second thing would be to research what colleges you want to, and not just apply to places where your friends are going to or where people generally do. I think there are a lot of differences and nuances in college where you really have to put time into researching it before you're able to find out. And I think one thing you could do is to reach out to a lot of undergraduates at these colleges, and most of them would be happy to speak to you and talk to you about their experiences at that specific college. And I think one piece of advice that I got before coming to college was, spend time building a life and not a resume. That will get you to a place where you've invested so much time and effort where you have something to show for it, rather than doing something specifically because you think maybe an admissions officer would see that and like it, or you think that's something that the colleges look out for. So I think one piece of advice I have for high school students applying to Wharton would be to really spend a lot of time researching all the opportunities and resources that the school has to offer. I think Penn and Wharton specifically have so many things that students can either pursue or participate in or leverage and to have a good college experience, and I think these are things that you should find out while you're applying to the college, which would really show that you have a good understanding of your place in the school and what you want to achieve in your time in college. And I think another thing you can do is to reach out to undergraduates currently at Penn or Wharton, and I think most of them would be very excited to talk to you and give you good advice and talk about their experiences here and whether Penn is a good fit for you or not. I personally chose to work with Crimson because when I first had a meeting with them, I felt that the people at Crimson were very knowledgeable about the space. After getting a chance to meet members on all areas of the team, just really seeing how the entire team was very collaborative and really dedicated to helping students just excel in all areas of their application. And that was something that really gave me the confidence to know that if I put in the work on my end, that I would get the help required to be able to apply and get into the colleges that I would like to get into. I started pretty late into the application process. I think it was maybe around June or July. Despite that, I think the Crimson team came through and pulled together everything pretty quickly. From looking at schools and deciding, researching them and deciding where I wanted to apply to, having a good range of different school options and kind of hedging your bets that way, thinking of what are the odds of getting into each institution, looking at the general application and building out the different extracurricular segments, as well as having really good essay mentors who started immediately kind of brainstorming ideas, putting words to paper and iterating over the next couple of months. And also having mentors to speak to at each university to really understand what matters in a college application and how to best approach every aspect of it. So I think the main thing that people always look for in college, or assistance with college applications, is always the essay. And I think the Common App essay was something that I could not have pulled off without all the help I got from the team at Crimson. I think something that they really helped with was the various aspects, starting with brainstorming, thinking about all the different things that I've experienced in my life, the things that I've dedicated time to, and what matters to me, and really putting that on paper and narrowing them down from 30 ideas down to 5 ideas, and deciding, okay, which of these 5 ideas best represents me and my story and where I'm headed and how getting into a specific college would help me there. But I think the help or the assistance that Crimson provides doesn't just stop there. A lot of it is in their knowledge of the more nuanced aspects of the application process. So that's got to come in, how you write about your extracurriculars. What should you highlight? What are the important elements in that? Or even when selecting schools, having been in this industry for so long, knowing the different value that each school has to offer and knowing what suits you best. I think that's something that Crimson helped me with and does very well. The advice I'll give to younger students would definitely be to start early on these applications. The truth is that these applications are pretty challenging because they make you reflect and think pretty deeply about yourself and your life so far and what you hope to achieve in future. And so I would say start early, think deeply and put your thoughts down on paper. Especially when writing your essays, never be afraid that of thinking that an idea is too dumb or too outlandish and dismissing it. I think what really matters is coming up with a lot of these ideas and eventually being able to narrow them down. I think something that you should do as well is work with Crimson to really choose a good set of schools that you would like to apply to and ultimately decide what it is you're looking for in a college education and be really intentional about which institutions suit you the best. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you would like to get started on your academic journey today, please get in contact with Crimson.